Okay, let's give this a shot. So, what I want to focus on this video is how 2006 was really the peak of the whole 9/11 truth movement, what the background was for my introduction to it, and we'll take it from there, but those are the two primary things: my introduction to it and how it peaked and what was right before the peak. So I was 14 going on 15 when it occurred. As you can see on this picture, this is the cover for a really good documentary. It was basically real-time footage of the whole event as it happened. Directly to the right is Bush saying mission accomplished after invading Iraq, even though it was really just the beginning of the quagmire. El Paul Bremer saying that we got him, referring to not Osama bin Laden, but Saddam Hussein, who had nothing to do with 9/11, but was incorporated into the broader war on terror. At the time, so let's say this documentary came out in 2002, a year after. This was 2003, 2 years after. Around 2004, these two movies came out, where people are starting to scratch their heads about the details. So it was more of a left-wing thing. Michael Moore, he always makes documentaries, and he made this documentary, Fahrenheit 9/11. It really wasn't that impactful, and there was a lot of bias put into it. Nothing amounting to 9/11 truth at all. It was really just look at these suspicious things, and governments are incompetent, and blah blah blah. And then I remember I got to see Team America in theaters when it came out, and it had an interesting take on criticizing really every player: the terrorists, the Americans, and the people complaining about the Americans. But had a very cartoonish justification, using a very rude joke at the end, which you got to see the movie, but it's really good. So this was this was what I was familiar with upon encountering 9/11 truth. So this was how everything I knew up to speed. I was familiar with the details of the attack generally. I wasn't really that into politics, other than liberals came across as whiny and wimpy, and terrorists sucked, so I supported America attacking them because I preferred being in America, versus Middle East. While this was happening, though, in the background, this guy, Eric Hufschmidt, made this book, Painful Questions, in 2002. The same year, in 2002, Alex Jones, notorious conspiracy theorist and kind of a blowhard radio host, he was all on board with the 9/11 conspiracy, looking into it. These were both in 2002. In 2003, Immortal Technique jumped on the conspiracy bandwagon and spit some hard bars that were pretty good. And then kind of the father of the 9/11 truth movement, David Ray Griffin, in 2004 created this book, The New Pearl Harbor. It did have some misinformation mixed in, but a lot of legitimate questions. But really the true star of the show in 2004 was Michael C. Rupert. He was a professional investigator. He understood what the geopolitical reasons were behind our move to the Middle East, the peak oil scare that was going on. I'm extremely in depth. I'm like only a few chapters in, and it's just insane. And also in 2004, this amazing book, The Terror Timeline, which is not a conspiracy book. It's literally just a documentation of what was reported when. So in order, CNN reported this, MSNBC reported this, this letter came out, or this politician said this. just in order, and just even everything leading up to that day, there's so many insane anomalies and bizarre contradictions. It's like it's enough to make anybody's head spin, and it's not even, there's no narrative behind it. There's just the straight facts that were available. None of this I was aware of in 2004 or 2005. Most people weren't. In 2006, when I was 19, going on 20, I was actually going online. I was Googling this. So I was about a year into having high-speed internet because they had it at my college. And it was really only a year after YouTube launched. So video on the internet was pretty damn new at the time. I only started watching YouTube in the middle of 2006. I was actually looking up laser beams for my own personal sci-fi book, and I stumbled upon this website where it was saying laser beam weapons, collapse of the World Trade Center, which has to do with directed energy weapon theories, very bizarre internet fringe type of stuff. But it was a subsection of something called the World Trade Center demolition and the so-called war on terrorism. And hearing the word demolition with World Trade Center was enough of a seed, and just the word in my brain, I'm like, that's weird. There's something weird going on. And so a couple days go by, revisit the website, and I found this section, evidence for explosives in the Twin Towers, and I saw this comparison video. So on the left, here is a demolition exhibiting demolition squibs. You can see the squibs coming out, and then the building collapses. And then side by side, you see the World Trade Center Tower 1. And note here what appear to be, as it goes down, the same thing. To me, this was the seeing the puppet strings moment. And I was determined from this point on to disprove it or to explain it, because that was such a... I never saw those things coming out of the towers before. And I was flabbergasted. So this was September 2006 going into October. And at that time, this was the peak. So as you can see here, this is interest over time for 9/11 Truth. This month was September of 2006. And so internet searches, it peaked here. So part of the reason was this video, Loose Change, which is a mix of true and false conspiracies, went viral in December 2005. So the first year YouTube existed. None of this would have been published in any mainstream news ever. So this is brand new technology being employed here. Improbable Collapse was another detailed documentary, came out in 2006. This guy, Kevin Ryan, who is extremely intelligent and wrote and did a lot more detailed investigation later on, did a critique on NIST's or NIST's examination of the World Trade Center collapses. He's a specialist in, steel tolerances. He worked at Underwriter Laboratories. And then, of course, Alex Jones, he was on the bandwagon. He's been on the bandwagon. He was spitting out documentaries like nuts. Terror Storm, A History of Government-Sponsored Terrorism. This documentary on the Jersey widows, or the Jersey girls, who were the people really responsible for the government putting any effort at all into investigating who, what were the failures involved in 9/11, how could it have happened? The documentary for them came out right around the time I was looking into it. This documentary called 9/11 Mysteries Part 1 Demolitions came out. This one was one of the first ones I watched that was really, it was a nice narrator, not a blowhard like Alex Jones. It was very well put together. And then, of course, the same people behind Team America, South Park creators, did a South Park episode on the World Trade Center conspiracy, and basically their parody was that the government would rather you think there was a conspiracy, so it makes them look like they're in control versus not. I mean, they've done it in a really tasteful, hilarious way, as tasteful for South Park. But yeah, you could see these are the guys behind Loose Change. They became celebrities pretty much overnight, infamously, because there was a lot of haters as well as fans. And, you know, people criticize their style and approach as well because they're trying to make it like, you know, a hip new movement type of thing. But one resource I really gravitated towards at the time was this website by Jim Hoffman, 911research.com or WTC7.net. And it was extremely fact-based, and it was structured like a Wikipedia. And so you can just click on each thing and do a deep drill down. And he had detailed critiques of all these documentaries and other people's theories, as well as, you know, official reports. You know, I could just dig into this all day. It was insanely high quality, and I learned a lot. So this was my inspiration to make my own PowerPoint, which, let's see, I'll go over right now. I'm just going to check my phone really quick. Yeah, so that's 2006 in a nutshell. The next video will be a revisit of the PowerPoint I created at the end of 2006 when I recently turned 20 years old. And then we can see how it holds up now in 2025. If there's definitely false things mixed in it, you know, lower quality, more information has come out since then. So it'll be worth investigating. Thank you for listening.